Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. It's Tuesday. That means it's Torn Tuesday, and we never take a day off, even if it's Valentine's Day. Actually, we do take a day off because Cliff has taken the day off because it's Valentine's Day. I'm here with you because you are all my Valentine. And I'm so glad to see our chat room is already here. Sarah, awesome person. Mark Anthony, Sean is here. I see so many people. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and anywhere else they will have us. It's just me today. So I'm going to show you some stuff, and I'm going to take a look at the 1 year anniversary of the first teaser trailer for Rings of Power. It was 1 year ago this week that we finally started to get some anything out of Amazon to what was their Lord of the Rings show going to look like. And everybody remembers the reactions, and so I thought we'd go through this. Happy Torn Tuesday, happy Valentine's Day, Troy. We start off with Valentine's, of course. Our good friend Ismael Cruz Cordova generously posted to these Valentines, some of these Valentines, to his Instagram today. Shout out to Ismail, hoping you're having a good one. But big shout out to Tea with Tolkien for making these Valentines. This was one of my favorites. Call it a Valentine. You're my Valentine. This is one of my favorite scenes in the whole first season of Rings of Power. I don't remember this line. Anyone in the chat room, can you explain Silver Clam? I don't. Is that a book reference that I don't get? See, this is why it's good when we have Cliff here, because he can possibly explain some of these things. This could be a start of a new era Valentine from our friend Prince Durin, played by Owain Arthur. Just a wonderful chap. My true king. He's the only person in the show that doesn't claim to be a king. And Galadriel just decides to call him a king to further her story. Galadriel said it is her husband. What? You look like a silver clam? I don't. Said it of her husband. Silver Clam? Is that in the books that I... Celeborn is in the books and in Peter Jackson's movies. Celeborn is Galadriel's husband, and his name roughly translate to Silver Clam. That's the reference. You look like my husband. Galadriel's nickname for Celeborn in his armor. Really? So when they're talking under the tree log, she shares a private nickname of her husband? Oh man, I just can't. That whole whatever. You can call me Adar. You can call me Daddy. Because doesn't Adar speak of his orcs like they're his children, or does he just call them his people? Or I feel like he took on Adar takes on a role of father figure. Thank you for noticing. I'm still using artificial intelligence on the show. So there it is. Folks, this has become a meme. And I want to know in the chat room, are you really on board with it? Really? Like, are we all in agreement that this line is way out of whack? It's worse than the meats back on the menu boys? Like, we're on the same page here, right? Like, this line is the worst line in Rings of Power, right? So there you go. You've been accepted as my Valentine. Oh, that's because she gets accepted to drafting school or something. Hello, Jeannie. Hello, James. Hello, Garfameo. Otaku's in here. Cecilia. Bind Yourself to Me, Valentine, is my favorite. And I look forward to having a relationship that is that. I like that. That's my vibe right there. Let's see what else we got. Are you the pyroclastic flow from Orodruin's eruption because you're unbearably hot? I thought the whole point of Orodruin's eruption, I thought the whole point of pyroclastic flow is that it's not unbearably hot. It's just steam because of the water. It's mostly water and dirt. Isn't that this one? You know what? I think this was made while everybody was talking about pyroclastic flows for like 36 hours. Hey girl, are you Mithril origin story? Because you're really pretty, but you're driving me crazy. Let's try that again. Hey girl, are you the Mithril origin story? Because you're really pretty, but you're driving me crazy. We're all on board with that one, right? Let's see. Where there is love, it is never truly dark. See, this is one of the best lines in the show. And this is one of the first things that this is one of the first leaks that Cliff and I ever got. Was this shot, this line. This was one of the first things, and we promised not to describe it because only a few people would know where we got it from. But this is when Cliff saw that tree in the background. It didn't register for me, but when Cliff saw that tree in the background, I thought the dialogue was wonderful. That whole scene was wonderful, and that was one of the early leaks that we got, but we were sworn to secrecy. I think people just wanted to people that working on the show just wanted to show us that what they're doing looks great. James Hewitt says pyroclastic flows really are burning hot. Sparks are flying, Valentine. Yeah, they certainly are. You can call me a Malorn leaf because I'm falling for you. That's cute. Beauty has great power to heal the soul, Valentine. Oh, that's right. She's like a healer. I feel like they didn't really explore that. I feel like they didn't really introduce her as a healer. I guess the thing that Cliff and I keep talking about is that show, don't tell. And I tell you, one of the best skills that Peter Jackson, Philippa Boyens, and Fran Walsh, Oscar winner Philippa Boyens and Fran Walsh, one of the great skills they had was making a visual scene that explained a concept rather than having people talk about it. And I almost feel like that first time we meet her, maybe she should have healed the sick cow. Like rather than like people telling us, you know, she's a healer, she's a witch, she has magic. I don't know. Like, rather than characters all saying you're the healer, just show us people bringing her their sick cow or their dried vegetables or their sick child, and maybe there's a line out the door and she's just constantly healing, to show that she's not a healer in the sense that Arwen and Toriel were magic healers. She's just a doctor scientist. She's aware of. She's a medicine woman. Better to show, not tell. I hope they do more showing in season 2. Wishing you a banner Valentine's Day. I like this guy. I'm Gil Galad, you're my Valentine. Maybe we should have just said Gil Glad. Maybe the joke would be better if you just misspelled his name. You're more than just a petty lord to me, Valentine. But, man, I can hear this guy's voice say it. And it's, really, he's my favorite casting of the show, I think. I think this guy is the most Tolkien actor so far, at least in the Peter Jackson mode. I like your haircut. Oh, jeez, what a waste of character. I'm afraid you're still short of Valentine. Be mine. Man, I didn't like those episodes. Don't be a stranger, Valentine. Hey, I like that. I would make you a queen, platonically. I'm not giving up hope that in 5 years' time they finally come clean with us that Haladriel really is a thing. I mean, come on. They put this in there and imply that there's no romance between those two characters. I should have done a whole show on Haladriel. Now that Cliff isn't here, I should have done a whole show on all these signs that Haladriel is real. I mean, it's Valentine's Day. We're talking about relationships. We're talking about love and Valentine's Day. And I messed up. I should have done that. I have loved you since before the breaking of the first silence. Well, that's fun. Yeah. Sending love this Valentine's Day. That's the one Ismail tweeted. And so you can get all these at teawithtolkien.com. So thank you, Tea with Tolkien, for making that. Speaking of art, folks in Atlanta this weekend were treated to a brand new art museum opening where John Howe brought out his Rings of Power sketchbook. This is the same sketchbook opened to the same page that we may or may not have seen in London. And I know there's a bunch of people on our Discord, they're like, we still don't know what exactly happened in London. What happened in London? So here you go. I'll give you this. Boom. This is exactly what John Howe did in London. He showed up, he walked out, he says, "Hi everybody, I brought a sketchbook." And he opened up right to this page. That's his first drawing. That's his first drawing of the snow troll, the cave troll, the ice troll. As we had reported a year before this that there was an ice troll because Warner Brothers was claiming copyright on the cave troll. So Amazon had to create a new class of troll to not bump up to licensing issues and stuff like that. So they basically told John Howe, hey, can you create a different type of troll? And he's like, well, where is this troll? And they said, well, where does it need to be to look different? And the conversation ended up, well, let's make a snow troll. Let's make an ice troll. And then they built out everything from there. Like, all right, well, if we have to make an ice troll, then there's an ice castle. All right, the ice castle. Where's the ice castle? On top of an ice cliff. And so the very first sneak photos that someone took that I think Fellowship of Fans found first was the Ice Cliff set. It was 5 stories tall. They really built. It wasn't ice, but it was it was just a set that looked blue and white. Yes, the term snow troll already exists in the Legendarium. Yes, I'm not saying that they had to create it from the Legendarium. I'm saying the rights issues are very, very complicated between Warner Brothers, who created and won all the Oscars and made $6 billion and made Lord of the Rings a valuable property in this media-saturated world that we live in. Warner Brothers, it maintains trademark on everything creative that they made with Peter Jackson. So Amazon can't just make a bunch of trolls, and they can't just make a bunch of beasts of burden, and they can't make a bunch of elvish warriors that ride elks, because a lot of the visual identity of the show, of the movies, are still being claimed by Warner Brothers. So Amazon has to set its own visual identity without infringing. And if you notice at the end of every single episode of Rings of Power, there's a New Line Cinema logo. It's because there are some things that Amazon show could not escape. And that is Galadriel and Elrond and a few other things in the show. So Amazon had to make a licensing deal for certain aspects. So some things in the show can look and sound like what Warner Brothers made. But it's on a case-by-case basis. And at some point, Warner Brothers said, no, you can't have the cave troll. Or they said, yes, you can, but you have to pay us. And Amazon said, well, we're not paying you. I don't know. But so John Howe this weekend in Atlanta gave the same speech, gave the same presentation that he did to the London folks. So looks like there will be more public opportunities. Atlanta Art Museum being the first. So there you go. Otaku Senpai says the term snow troll is in the appendices story of Helm Hammerhand. Yes, they absolutely had rights to snow troll. I'm saying they could not make their troll look like the one in Fellowship. That's all I'm saying. So John Howe drew a new one, came up with a new one. Season 2, Sea Trolls. You know what I really want? Not sea trolls, the sea turtles. If I recall correctly, in the Legendarium, there are giant sea turtles that Tolkien came up with. I am ready to see. I was hoping that we might see some sea turtles in all of the water action, and then we only got a silly sea serpent. So there you go. But so John Howe giving it the dish. Do you guys want the latest breaking news? Green Dragon gossip again. Amazon doesn't ever confirm anything, so every piece of news we always have to consider. We always have to say it is gossip. We haven't had any confirmation officially. Just like with the Tom Bombadil news, there's no confirmation any of it's real. And some other channels would have you believe it's all fake and phony. But I don't know. I've heard it from a couple places. I've heard the Tom Bombadil stuff from a couple places. But some folks in our Discord, New Green Dragon Gossip, some folks in our Discord have put some pieces together. And if you were a member of our Discord, you would have been first to find out. Barry Gower is a makeup and prosthetics expert. Here he is on IMDb. He has won 4 Primetime Emmy Awards. He's been nominated 19 times for industry awards. Won 4 Primetime Emmy Awards. He's known for The Last of Us, House of the Dragon, Stranger Things, Doctor Strange, The Witcher, The Green Knight. Folks, this is a huge hire. This is a huge hire. The Last of Us prosthetics guy. The Last of Us is the show that is blowing up television right now. It's trending every time there's a new episode. And it is really one of the best shows on TV, period. The makeup guy, and a lot of that show is prosthetics. If you watch it behind the scenes, they are actually making prosthetics of all those things that you see in the show, including the big burly thing that we saw this last week. So he is now on Rings of Power. This is a good sign that we're going to have some world-class, award caliber prosthetics work on the orcs and whoever else the stranger come up on. So this is huge. This is a huge get. So again, we're really excited. Green Dragon Gossip is Barry Gower is currently on Rings of Power Season 2. After doing some hot work on House of the Dragon. The way they did the king's face on House of Dragon, I won't spoil it. That was wonderful. Stranger Things, the big bad guy in the last season of Stranger Things was a big prosthetics thing. And of course, The Green Knight is one of our favorite shows and favorite movies. And I hope Dev Patel has a role in future seasons of Rings of Power. But The Last of Us. So that's a good one. That's a good news. The bad news is Barry Gower has never worked with Weta. And asking around, I'm hearing Weta's not involved in season 2. That's the bad news. So we've got Emmy award-winning talent coming on board, but we are losing Oscar-winning talent from season 1. And if you've been watching the show, a few weeks ago we showed you that almost everybody nominated for an award for season 1 of Rings of Power has already left the show. So they got to do something. So that's exciting. Other big news. Of course, you may know that people in our Discord are big anime fans. We talk about anime a lot, and I try to steer the conversation back to Tolkien, but some people just like anime. So Anime News Network, this showed up in our Discord, said the most pirated TV shows of the year, coming in at number 8, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. Rings of Power is officially the 8th most pirated TV show of the year. Number 1, of course, House of Dragon. And then anime of Chainsaw Man, anime of Running Man, Rick and Morty, Moon Knight. Oh, Moon Knight was the Disney show, right? With that dude. Bleach is an anime. Eminence of Shadow is an anime. Spy X Family, Rising. Wow. So almost everything in the top pirated shows is anime, except for House of the Dragon, Rick and Morty, Moon Knight, and Lord of the Rings. So there you go. And I don't know what 7% means. Oh, is that just the share of piracy demand? Okay, that's interesting. Otaku Senpai says Moon Knight was originally Marvel's answer to the Batman. Yes. And it's a cool show. It's a cool show, and I really like is that the Ethan Hawke's in that, yeah? I was thinking about it this weekend. Ethan Hawke would be a great addition to Rings of Power. I feel like I always get lost in Ethan Hawke's roles. Like when he shows up, I recognize him. Like, hey, it's Ethan Hawke. But then really quickly, like he's such a good actor that I get lost into whatever character he's playing, and I totally believe that he's that character, whatever he's playing. It's a very special, exclusive club of talent that Ethan Hawke belongs to. And remember, folks, there are 20 rings in the Rings of Power. There are 20 rings. We have seen 3 of them be made, and we know where the one ends up, right? So, doing my math, that's 16 more rings, and that's 16 more corruptions. I would love to see a guy like Ethan Hawke as one of the corrupted kings. Wouldn't you guys like that? I feel like the opportunity for Rings of Power going forward is, it's okay to bring in some star power for some small juicy roles, because the Nazgul are the definition of evil. Like, the Nazgul are the first evil characters that the Fellowship gets chased by. It scared me watching Lord of the Rings for the first time. So, having some big name actors like an Ethan Hawke start to play these kings that get corrupted could be really interesting, And I don't believe that every single king of men and dwarves turn evil or turn into their worst selves. I think, part of the lore of Sauron's power is that it just amplifies, the rings just amplify your greatest desire or something like that, right? So I have to believe that some of the kings of men are amplified for goodness, because when we get to Galadriel, Dark Galadriel, and when we get to Gandalf refusing the ring, Gandalf is speaking from experience. When Gandalf says, "I dare not take it," he would want to use it for good. But through him, evil would have its way. I feel that the real interesting part of Rings of Power, besides all the cataclysms that are about to show up, besides all of the wars that we're about to see, which we've never seen on the scale of television, and I think the real power of Rings of Power is going to be showing why Gandalf says, "I dare not take it." He must have seen some really good people do really great things with the magic rings, and then still get those good deeds get corrupted. Garfameo says Gandalf saw how some of the rings affected the dwarves. That's right. James Hewitt says, weren't the lesser rings the test rings? Well, I don't know. Were the 3 rings we saw at the end of season 1 the test rings? Kind of were the test rings. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they're the last rings. Maybe season 1 was just a big joke. Like, nothing is to be believed in season 1. Maybe season 1 was just like practice. People say, I wonder if the lesser rings are also lost power when the one ring was destroyed, or did the lesser rings lose power when the one ring was created? Cecilia says, Justin, your eyes move unnaturally. All right, do you guys want me to take off this AI thing? All right, hold on. I've been playing with this AI, so I'm going to take off the background blur. Boom. And we're going to take off the magic eye. All right. My eyes are back to normal. Okay. Is that okay? Is that better? Is it really that distracting having with the AI trying to point my eyes at the camera? Is it really that distracting? Would you rather me like see my eyes go from monitor to monitor? Yeah. So I'm using this beta software that tries to put your eyes right toward the camera at all times. So anyway, that's kind of what I want out of the show. I want some big name stunt. I want some big name actors introduced in the show. I feel like this TV show needs some credibility. Right now, it has a credibility issue, especially after the season 1 and the way it was received and the feedback that fans have been given, whether it's on Nerd of the Rings or the Tolkien Professor or Tolkien Society or any number of reviews that fans have been putting. Legit, not just criticisms, just like how the good things were received as well as the bad things. So I feel like this show has a credibility problem, and one of the ways to solve that, better writing, of course, but bring in some actors that we love. I really want some big name actors from Eastern Territories to come in as the Blue Wizards. This is one that was one of the rumors about season 1 that wasn't actually true, but yeah. So that's what I want. So yeah, Lord of the Rings, the 8th most pirated show, and I don't know why people are pirating that show, because it's like 90% of Americans have Amazon Prime. So there's no new subscribers to actually get. Like, if 90% of adult households have Amazon Prime already for free shipping, there's no new. Let's see. Oh, and then other related news, other than being the number one of the top pirated movies, pirated shows is Deadline's reporting Wednesday has outpaced House of the Dragon to become the most watched premiere of 2022. This is from independently verified tracking services. And so everybody's been trying to do comparison. There's a lot of discussion in our Discord. And again, please join our Discord, because the conversation can be a bunch of different things every day. But there's an ongoing discussion about what are the metrics? Like, did Rings of Power get as many viewers as these other shows? How do we compare television with streaming? When do numbers come out? The interesting thing about this article, let's see, man, they've got so many ads on this. Wednesday outpaces House of the Dragon. And here it is. They say in the 40-day viewership window. So that was the key sentence I pulled out of this. So basically, the industry has decided that there is a 40-day, which is a month and a week. Basically, there's a month and a week, 40-day viewership window to accurately count TV viewers plus streaming viewers, because a lot of TV viewers watch when it airs, but a lot of them record it. A lot of people watch it on demand, and then a lot of people just stream it like in the middle of the week, after a long day at work. So 40-day window is where it's at. And so it's interesting to point out specifically these are independently verified numbers. So these two shows are the biggest watched premieres of 2022, and it nowhere in this article is Rings of Power. They talk about Wednesday, House of Dragon, Dahmer, and The Watcher were among the most watched premieres in the first 15 days of release. And of course, all of those were performing well against Gen Z and millennials. So there you go. Netflix is still dominating, just because Netflix has like way more video subscribers than every other streaming service combined. So let's see what else. Paramount Plus drew much of its viewership thanks to Taylor Sheridan. 1 in 4 subscribers only watched his shows. That might be me. Paramount Plus, I watched Halo because I was all excited for Halo. So I watched Halo, then I watched 1883, then I watched 1923, then I watched that Godfather TV show. So that was interesting. Yeah, but so that's the other big news. So everybody wants to compare, where does Rings of Power fit on the popularity scale? I'll have to say this. Last of Us was released their episode early on HBO Max on Friday night. And it was trending all Friday night. Not in the For You section on Twitter, but like nationwide. United States trends and California trends and Los Angeles trends. But United States trends is what I usually focus on. It trended nationally on Friday night. And that isn't even its normal night. That's how many people are watching Last of Us as it airs. Rings of Power never trended on its launch night, except for the premiere. But Last of Us is doing it every episode. House of Dragon did it every episode. So there are way more people watching Last of Us right now than Rings of Power. And then as these reports come out, you know, we're hearing, you know, this Deadline article. You know, it says the top premieres are Dahmer, Wednesday, House of Dragon. Rings of Power isn't even mentioned. So this is the trouble about comparing shows, because no one can agree. None of the companies can agree on what makes sense. Caitlin Griffin says, I watched Last of Us. It's a good show. It is a good show. It's not as scary as I thought it would be. Davin in the chat room says, The Offer was great. Yes, it was. And the performance of that producer guy, I mean, the dude really talked like that. It's the story of the making of The Godfather. It's not a documentary. It's just a TV show. It's 6 episodes. I feel like it's too long. First off, it's not that interesting. It is interesting, but it's not that interesting. So, what is new? Amazon hiring new writers. Chain just joined the show. No, what's new is, let me bring it up. Amazon has hired a new new head of makeup and prosthetics. Weta Workshop allegedly is out. They are not coming back. So all of the orcs are going to be done by Barry Gower, who is currently on The Last of Us, and he also did House of the Dragon, and he also did The Green Knight, and he did Doctor Strange and Stranger Things. So this dude is a 4-time Emmy winner, makeup and prosthetics expert, and so he's in charge of the prosthetics on season 2 of Rings of Power. All right. 1 year anniversary. Folks, did you guys watch the football game yesterday? Let's take a look at the old show.
What else is out there? There's wonders in this world beyond our wandering. I can feel it.
folks, what was your favorite part of that trailer? First off, did season 1 live up to the promise that trailer made? I want to hear it I want to see it in the chat. Did this trailer get you hyped for the show, and did the final show deliver on the promise of this trailer? Davin in the chat room says, I love this ad. Otaku Senpai says, no, it did not. Explain yourself, Otaku. Why? What is overpromised in this trailer that it did not live up to? The Crawling Chaos says, I generally like the season. It felt like Middle Earth to me. Me too. Look, I still stand by my written review on theonering.net for the pilot, the 2-part pilot, which I saw 5 times in 4 cities. The pilot looks like Middle Earth, sounds like Middle Earth, smells like Middle Earth. The biggest hurdle they had is, do they make a show that doesn't feel like the cinematic masterpiece that Peter Jackson made, or do they make something different? And the answer was, they made something that feels familiar. What a huge hurdle that only Jeff Bezos' billions could deliver on. But after that, everything just went crazy. Susan says, yes and yes, the show lived up to the trailer. Chain says the trailer was bad and the season met that expectation. Interesting. Otaku says the show did not feel enough like Tolkien's Second Age to me. But did this trailer feel like Tolkien's Second Age? Were you on board with this trailer, Otaku? Garfameo says, well, we only saw these guys with the moose antlers on their backs once, so dangling carrot was taken away from us. The interesting thing, Garf, is remember they put these guys in a big photo in Vanity Fair. And after the Vanity Fair article, we got a little spy report at the One Ring that told us, ignore those antler guys. They have nothing to do with anything. Like literally, like the most exciting and interesting world building photo in the Vanity Fair spread, those first look images, was these guys. And immediately we got a private message from someone on the production saying, hey, don't get hype about those guys. They're irrelevant to anything. So when this trailer came out, Cliff and I knew not to get hyped up, and we were actually kind of surprised that they used them in two shots. Otaku says the Harfoots were awful folk. I disagree, and we're gonna agree to disagree here on Valentine's Day. Let's see. Cooperman, I'm gonna say that there is 5 more seasons and 10 more years of Rings of Power to earn its own reputation. So we'll see. But to be fair, Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings was lightning in a bottle, and everybody knows it. And it will never be duplicated or replicated. It's the most awarded film in history. The most awarded TV or film in history. And nothing will ever compare to it. So the bar is high, and all anyone can do now is reach for the bar. But that's all anyone. Let's see. Oh, chat room. We got comments from Facebook. Bryce says, I was so hyped with the trailer because I was just wanting more Lord of the Rings content. So I wonder if I wasn't big a fan, if I would have been, while watching this trailer, not being a fan. That's what I want to get at. Were fans hyped up about this trailer? Did this trailer do what it was supposed to do and get normies and casuals hyped about the show? Because look, even at the end of the Hobbit movies, everyone has their opinion on Hobbit movies, especially Battle of Five Armies. everyone's like, I still want to hang out in Middle Earth, though. Like, no matter how you feel about love triangles and the way the armies went down and the 2 seconds of Bayorn and them editing out Thorin's funeral from the theatrical and all the other challenging choices that Peter made and the studio made, we still wanted to be there. We wanted to be in Middle Earth, and that's one of the things I wanted out of the show. I just wanted to be in a world I wanted to be in, and it's kind of there. Were the moose guys supposed to be hunters? Yes. Susan says, I'm not in favor of having the Harfoots in the show, but I do love them. You could take the Harfoots out of season 1 and it won't affect the show at all. In fact, I would argue it would be a better show. I will doubly argue, I feel like they should have done a spin-off. They should have done what Disney does with the Star Wars and Marvel shows. They should have immediately done the main show, Rings of Power, and then they should have introduced the Harfoots in their own little spin-off series. Maybe it's 1 season, maybe it's 2 seasons. But they should have just kind of kept that separate, because according to Tolkien, it was separate. They never crossed streams, And then at the end of there's so much. I really liked the concept of Harfoots. I really liked the opportunity that the Harfoots brought to the show. I really liked the opportunity of bringing, what Tolkien's description of Harfoots into life, into real world, and the execution. But by the final episode, the execution of the Harfoots, I'm totally turned off by them. Like, the show did not do the Harfoots right. And killing off Lenny Henry, my favorite actor on the show, unforgivable. How do you kill off Lenny Henry? You have one of the greatest comedic actors of our generation ready for the world stage, and you throw him away? And he's the only guy that dies? He's the only character that dies in season 1? Because the showrunners just already told us in the press that the White Mystics are not dead yet. They're not dead. How are you gonna introduce Harfoots and bring in Lenny Henry, and he's the only one that dies in the whole season? Oh, it makes me so mad. But it's Valentine's Day. We're thinking about things we love and like, right? Andrew says the trailer was a mixed bag, and so was the show. I feel that. I felt it at the time. We had a lot of hype going into the trailer, like, oh man, this better knock our socks off. And then they showed it at the Super Bowl, and it was like, that's it. Monica says, I think we all felt a bit hyped up after the thing. Yeah, you know what? And Peter Jackson's films were great out of the gate. After all, even The Hobbit couldn't hold a candle to Lord of the Rings. That's right, Garf. The moose guy confused me. But when the trailer hit, I was excited about the Numenor shots and some of the Elvish shots. Garf says, I want more Ents, Entings, and Entwives. I know. You know what's missing from season 1? The fantasy of the fantasy world. Know what I mean? There's no fantasy. In Fellowship of the Ring, we got talking... No, that was Two Towers. We got talking trees in Two Towers, right? But there was fantasy, there was magic. There was no magic in season 1. They chose not to show magic in season 1, and it's really a missed opportunity. I did not think that she would have as big of a role. Also, I think great performances, great acting, but you're going to take Tolkien's description of Harfoots and make her the lead character of your Harfoots. That is certainly a choice. That's a choice. Before the king. I didn't understand that. Did you guys understand that? Did you guys like that quote? Before the king. Like, I know what you're trying to do. Not Return of the King, but not before, but before the king. This was cool. Come on. With the dagger and everything, that was cool. This was cool. This was cool. That was the coolest thing in the whole trailer. Catching that arrow. Why didn't they have more of that? I mean, they did have him jumping up with the axe, and he did escape. He did get out. He didn't escape, but he was let go from the orc camp. But our own deer can get it. Oh, I should mention here, in the later trailer, they added CG Ents. Folks, in this shot, in the Super Bowl trailer, there's no Ents. In the final trailer and show, there are Ents. There's the ice troll that we just, that John Howe was showing the concept art at the Art Museum in Atlanta just this weekend. What a real treat for fans. New Legends begins a new legend begins this fall. Bryce says that it would be so hard to compete against the Peter Jackson movies because even then, in those films, the background characters were great and memorizing. Compared to Rings of Power show, they just weren't the same. That's what I found. I feel that too. I can't even tell you any of the background characters' names. Whereas, like, I remember coming out of any of the Peter Jackson films, and I was like, oh man, remember Figwit? Even if the background characters did not have names, the fans came up with names. The only thing that fans have come up with on this show is Haladriel. And I regret not doing the show about Haladriel because Cliff's not here. There's our boy. Speaking of singing, I thought there would be more singing. I thought this was a great tease to show the dwarves singing. Remember, in Peter Jackson's first Hobbit movie, the dwarves sing 2 songs while they're at Bag End. Dwarves are known for their singing. Why don't we have any singing? Other than a lament. And other than this lament, like 8 hours of show, and they couldn't figure out how to make the dwarves sing some sea shanties or something, or cliff shanties. All right, a new legend begin. Remember when we were like debating this trailer, every shot from this trailer, like who would dare touch Galadriel's hair? Her prized hair that Gimli is like, she gave me 3. So the other one, that's another thing that this show has 5 seasons to take Galadriel from someone that this happens to the person we see in the Third Age, where no one would dare touch her hair. And her hair is held in such high regard that's all Gimli wants out of her. I want to know how she gets from here to there. Cecilia says, sorry guys, I find the comparisons disgusting. It's like you want to standardize creativity. No, I don't think there's a standard of creativity and everything can be their own thing. But when you're halfway through, like, when you get halfway there, I don't know. It's almost to me, it feels like they want half foot in, half foot out, a leg in and a leg out. And I feel like it hasn't yet become what it's meant to be. That's a good way of putting it. Cave shanties. Yeah. Remember when we were all about sea shanties during that first year of lockdown. And then boom. Hey, with the fire shot with the Meteor Man, do you guys feel like in this teaser, man, I can't hit the pause button fast enough. Do you feel like remember in the final episodes, like there's the camera shot above and it does look like a ring of fire, an eye of fire. Do you think that they should have included that in this trailer? Like, I feel like that this teaser trailer could have played on some of the iconography that we associate with Lord of the Rings, like eyes of fire and things like that. Because it is interesting that this shot, I think, is from the final episode, right? Isn't this shot from the final episode where, you know, the stranger is going off on the adventure? Because he's got his clothes on and stuff. Crawling Chaos, I will give you internet points for that. By the way, speaking of internet points, did you guys hear At Midnight is coming back to television? Remember when we used to do our show in the same studio as At Midnight, and Chris Hardwood could crash the show every once in a while because he would try to do rehearsing while we were doing our show. It's like, we're sharing the same space, dude. At Midnight is coming back to TV, and I'm so excited because I love that show. And a lot of my friends were writers on it. The Rings of Power. Man, that shot right there sold us all on Elrond, didn't it? I think there was a lot of hesitation, like, all right, Will Poulter was originally cast, then he left the show to do Marvel, you know, and then they got the guy from Game of Thrones, who played young Stark, right? Young Ned Stark, that's him. And we're like, all right, and he's gonna have short hair. Like, there was a lot of like hesitation on Elrond, but this trailer did a really good job of selling us on Elrond, and it deserves all the credit. And the actor and everything about Elrond deserves all the credit because that he's one of the best parts of the show. Elrond and Durin's friendship is the best part of the show, I will say, and a lot of people are saying. So, yeah, 1 year ago. The other thing I wanted to ask you before I let you guys go, it's been 1 year since we got these. Did you all guess the characters? Be honest. Did you guys guess the characters correctly? And did the show? I'll ask the same question that I just did about the trailer. Did the show deliver on what these posters promise? These, all marketing is making you a promise that what you're about to see is going to be the thing. So, did the final show deliver on the promise of the quality of these posters? Irvandi says, I still love those hand posters. I do too. I think I think it's actually the best part of the show. Not just the best part of marketing. I think it was the best part of the show. At the time, I was a little frustrated that they just wouldn't tell us the characters. I think it would have been way more... I think we would have had a lot more fun as fans if they had told us each of these characters' names with the posters. Like, that's Gil-galad. That's Celebrimbor. Like, it would have allowed us fans to get real juicy on what they're holding, what they're wearing. Instead, they wanted to keep this mystery boxes. J.J. Abrams, it is stupid stuff of mystery box everything. I would have loved to yeah, that's Theo holding a dagger. Like, okay, let's go. Like, all right, now let's. See, if they had told us like this character right here, if they had told us who's holding who's in each poster, like that's Theo. It's like, all right, from the Vanity Fair thing, we know Theo is played by a young gent, and he's Bronwyn's son or something. But if they had told us that this was Theo, we could have spent the next 6 months like, okay, be prepared to pay attention to Theo. That's what I'm getting at. It's like great marketing will convince you to pay attention to the things that the show wants you to pay attention to. You know, and instead we go into the show and, you know, Bronwyn cuts that orc's head off, and Theo's just hiding in the closet, and like we're almost like kind of taught in the shown in the pilot episodes, like you don't need to care about Theo. He's not important to the story. But according to this poster, he's infinitely important to the story. Bryce in the chat room says, just quickly, is there a rough estimate date when season 2 might be released? Yes. Our current gossip is the fall of next year. As a courtesy between studios, Warner Brothers and Amazon will not overlap on each other's release dates. And we know for sure that War of the Rohirrim, the big feature film coming to theaters, is being released April of next year, April 2024. We expect our first teaser trailer for that at Comic-Con this July. So we know that they're filming season 2 right now. And it does make sense that Amazon really likes the September release date. It's a nice release window for them. So our expectations are it's going to be released September 2nd, 2024. That way Rohirrim can do its thing, can come out in theaters. 6 months later, it'll be on streaming. And by the way, they are playing nice. Amazon Prime will be the home of War of the Rohirrim post theatrical release. Says a lot. They're not putting it on HBO Max, or maybe they will. But we've heard that Rohirrim will, when it comes to streaming, it will be on Amazon Prime. If you follow Tea with Tolkien, you'll know that this that horsey sword, someone's bootlegging it and selling it on Amazon. You can buy that horsey sword, a replica of that horsey sword. It's not as, it's not Weta Workshop quality stuff, but if you want a horsey sword, it's there. So I get what they were doing with these posters. I feel like it kind of overpromised, and I really think for fans it would have been a lot more effective if they had told us the character names. Like, who knew that would is that Isildur with the rope? I think that's Isildur, right? Yes, 2 full years. 2 full years of production. I mean, that's the same amount of time that season 1 got. United Cutlery does put out some nice pre-production. See, look, Isildur with the rope. If they had just told us last February, yes, that's Isildur, our curiosity would have been piqued. Like, okay, so he looks like a kid. His hands are clean. So it basically would have focused our attention to be like, all right, pay attention to this. And then the famous sun sword, which I thought was Narsil this whole time, and Patrick looked at me and then said, "That's not Narsil, dude." And then he didn't let me post that publicly. So there you go. And then of course, Gandalf and Sauron. This is what's frustrating about these posters. Gandalf and Sauron. But as of the end of season 1, we don't have a name for Gandalf, and we don't know that that's not Sauron. I think it's a bunch of mystery boxing again, a bunch of wasteful mystery boxing. So let me scroll up in the chat. I didn't see your replies. Did this show deliver on the visual promise that these posters made? Cooperman says, big shout out to Nerd of the Rings. Give him the script, Amazon, please. Yeah, look, if you're going to have a lore master that is like an MBA graduate from UCLA, you might as well hire someone to help that dude. Might as well hire someone that knows what they're doing, which makes me all the more sad that Tom Shippey left the show so early, and rather than replace Tom Shippey with someone of caliber, they just hired some MBA grad that probably worked for minimum wage. Looking at the chat room here. The Crawling Chaos says, I went into the show not sure what to expect really, but I never expected hardcore Tolkien, as the show is clearly aimed at a wide audience. That said, I did not think it was flawless. Here's the thing. Tolkien is the best-selling author worldwide of the 20th century, except for the Bible, or any religious text, the Quran, Bible. Tolkien is a wide audience. All you have to do is stick to Tolkien. Like, this idea that Tolkien is fantasy and fantasy is genre and genre is a small audience that you have to win over a large audience. It's like, look at the numbers, man. Look at the sales numbers. Tolkien sold more books in the 20th century than every other writer in the 20th century, except the Lord. That is the widest audience. All you have to do is stick your nose in the book and stay true to the book. You don't have to appeal to a wider audience because you've already appealed to the widest audience. Just with the nature of the property of Lord of the Rings, you're already appealing to the widest audience in the 20th century. I feel like someone forgot that. Let's see. Hand poster Ponton says, hand posters are nice, and I don't think they got any of them right. The Celebrimbor one I thought was Elrond with the scroll. Let's go up to Celebrimbor. Yes, I think we all did. We all kind of thought that red robe was Elrond. But I did like what they did. Hey, we got a troll here. Boom. Otaku says, the hand posters are an intriguing idea. That's all I'll say about that. Yes, they are an intriguing idea. And they're executed visually. They're executed well. But like giving us something nice and then still mystery boxing what it means or even what its name is so frustrating. We're all in this together. We all love Tolkien, studio and fans. Like bring us along for the ride. We're not the enemy. We're not on the other side of the chessboard. We're not playing a game against the studio. You know, we're not playing chess against the studio and the studio's trying to make moves to outsmart us and outwit us. No. We're all going the same direction. We all want to live with new stories in Middle-earth. Treat us like a teammate, not someone to outsmart. So there you go. All right, let me see. Is there anything else on this? No, that's it. So again, big news. The Last of Us prosthetics expert, 4-time Emmy winner, is now doing the prosthetics And the orcs have a lot to do in season 2. We'll go into that in a future show. But the orcs have a lot to do in season 2. Mordor is theirs for the first time. So now, what do the orcs do? Do they go and recruit other orcs from other lands? I don't know, but there's a lot more orcs. We looked at the trailer. We looked at the thing. We saw Rings of Power is one of the most pirated shows of the year, but it is not one of the biggest premieres of 2022. John Howe is showing off his sketchbooks to more people, and of course it's Valentine's Day, and we are all grunting respectfully. Well, Torn Tuesday, weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings. We're here every Tuesday, and I've seen your comments about the AI trickery. I'm going to adjust with it, and I'm not going to tell you when I use it. And I'm going to see if I can fix the algorithm good enough where my eyeballs don't trip you out. Because I like the concept of looking at you, the camera, and stuff like that. So there you go. Things coming up. WonderCon is in April, I believe. I think we have a couple panels, a panel or two coming up. You might have just hung out with us at the Fellowship concerts in New York City at Radio City Music Hall. Jed Brophy was there singing some songs. That was amazing. I wish I was there. And then, of course, if you have the money and if you have the time, San Diego Comic-Con is going to be an amazing year this year. Lord of the Rings is back in a big way. Weta Workshop returns with a huge booth and brand new merch. War of the Rohirrim, big Hall H presentation with their new panel, and probably the whole cast, including Miranda Otto, and the Succession guy, and a bunch of other people they haven't announced yet. And of course, Philippa Boyens will be there. Will PJ show up and just walk around under a costume? Who knows? But Philippa is scheduled to be there. And then the 4 Hobbits, I should let you know, the 4 Hobbit actors, Billy, Dom, Elijah, and Sean, are going back out on the convention circuit this year. So be on the lookout for photo ops with the 4 Hobbits again this year. They had a lot of fun. This last year. Going to all the conventions and hanging out with all you fans and taking pictures. Oh, and big news from Billy and Dom World. They're turning the Friendship Onion into a TV show. That's right. They've taken the part of the podcast. If you've listened to Billy and Dom's The Friendship Onion, they interview a lot of people. But the podcast is on hiatus while they go shoot a TV show. It is mostly about Billy and Dom Eat the World. I think that's the going title of it. And they are going around the world, just the two of them with a camera crew, and eating local foods from wherever they go. And so I'm really excited. I'm happy for Billy and Dom, and maybe we'll get them on the show later this year and to talk about that. So if you see the chance to get a photo op with the 4 Hobbits, take it, because all those actors are going to be busy this year. So, and Aravandi says she's hyped about Miranda Otto reprising Éowyn. That's right. And let's not forget, she has a beautiful singing voice. Miranda Otto is the voice you hear singing at the funeral for Theodred when he picks up Thimble Moon, the White Flower, and you hear the background music. That's Miranda Otto singing. So let's hope and pray that the War of the Rohirrim anime has some more Horse Lord singing. Maybe Éowyn, maybe Helm Hammerhand himself. It's going to be exciting. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody that celebrates. I've got my red jacket on, and my love to all of you. By the way, I was looking for my Rings of Power boxes, because turns out they're on eBay. I found this one, and I forgot. I thought I had lost this. It's my Rings of Power New York ticket with it's shiny silver ink, and then from London, it's my Rings of Power popcorn bucket. Ingredients safe for vegetarians, vegans, and celiacs. I don't know what a celiac is. So this is what they gave at the London premiere. There's nothing in there. They gave us Rings of Power, and I think that's all I have in here. Yeah, I was looking for my tickets. I was looking for my tickets to the London premiere, but I couldn't find it. But I found it in those boxes. So anyway, happy Valerie, Justin. I'll take it. Happy Valerie. Happy Valentine's Day, Kay. I love you, Kay. I'm so happy that you're still here with us after all this time. We have such a wonderful community. Some of you have been watching the show for over 10 years. Some of you have been with us since we first started. I think we were on Stickam, and then we were on Justin.tv, and then we were on Twitch, and then we were on YouTube, and then we were on Ustream, and then we paid for like the onering.net/live. We paid for like a actual hosted solution, but then we ran out of money because we don't make ads and we don't make money here. So it's just wonderful that all of you are here every week, and we're just a big community, and it's great that you guys continue to enjoy what we're doing and what other fans are doing. So join the Discord. Go to discord.gg/theonering, or just search the One Ring. When you create your account on Discord, it says search for new communities, and you can search for Lord of the Rings. You can search for the One Ring, and join us. And I tell you, we've had so many people this week tell us that they've unsubscribed from other Lord of the Rings Discord communities because it got a little weird or toxic. But everybody seems to enjoy Torn's Discord. It's a nice little happy place. You know, we got a great moderation team that keeps the conversation healthy. And you know, we allow all perspectives and opinions of all the movies and shows and books and everything like that, but we don't allow trolling, you know? So it's just a happy place, and that's what the One Ring has always been. Our message boards are still active with the moderation team because, you know, it's just a happy place. It's a comfortable place to log into, you know, after you put the kids to bed and after you're home from work, or maybe you're retired and you just want to, you know, you just want to know that there's a community there that you can jump and talk to. So on this Valentine's Day, if you're just alone with your Tolkien, it's a perfect time to jump in and read some Tolkien and read about Beren and Luthien, or just jump into and put the movies on, or just put the soundtrack on. Cook yourself a nice meal, put the Howard Shore's soundtrack on, or Bear McCreary's soundtrack on, and have a wonderful evening. So yeah, just wonderful to have you all here. Cliff should be back next week. So happy Valentine's Day to all. And what does he say? Come on, guys, cue up the Cliff thing. I forget the line. It's fun. We have a bunch of macros on our Discord. So if you put ! Brimby, you get a Celebrimbor thing. If you put ! Balrog, you get served some hot wings. And so if you go, I think if you put ! Cliff, it usually Discord usually gives you the quote. So good night and good luck, or better yet, buenas noches y buena suerte. See ya.